This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
Welcome to the Stop and Listen podcast. I am your host, Jamie. Please watch this short clip and then like, subscribe, follow, comment, do all the things. Enjoy. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is putting out some content. You really ought to listen to what he has to say. So let's do that.
Everybody says they're going to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. President Trump said that he was going to drain the swamp, but then he brought John Bolton in to run the NSA. It was like the template for swamp creatures.
Yep.
And he brought Mike Pompeo in to run the State Department, who is the most bellicose and belligerent militarized foreign policy of any individual in our country. He brought...
See, that's... Okay, so I'd heard some great things about Mike Pompeo. I'd never heard him be accused of being a... whatever he just said. But, he just did, so...
Scott Gottlieb, a business partner to Pfizer, in to run FDA, and Gottlieb did an $88 billion favor for his company. And then he left FDA back to the board of directors to collect his payoff. And if you look at every one of the agencies, the same thing happened. There were more lobbyists in government than any time in American history, running the agencies that are supposed to regulate their industries. And it wasn't about draining the swamp. I believed President Trump wanted to do that, but I don't think he was able to stand up to his bureaucracy. And he said great things. He said, I don't want to do lockdowns. They make no sense. And then a week later, he ordered them, a 2-week lockdown. That ended up in almost 2 years. He said that hydroxychloroquine worked, and then he backed down, so he was able to be rolled by his bureaucracy. And I believe that he had his chance, and that President Biden had his chance. And the big issues that are confronting our nation, which is the systematic destruction of the working poor, of the American middle class, that it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And we need a big change in this country.
%, right? Don't disagree with anything he said. You know, I wouldn't like his Supreme Court picks if he chose them, but you know what? I'm not thrilled with outcomes from the Trump one. I mean, yeah, they ruled like I wanted to with Roe versus Wade, but I mean, a couple of them had been wonky on some stuff. So, no. The problem is our government is too big and powerful, and then that's favors can be given and sold, and exactly what he was talking about. It has to be made smaller. And I haven't heard him talk about a smaller government. He's been talking about a more moral government. How do we get there? You have to take away the power and give it back to the people. I think I'm a RFK Jr. supporter. I think I am. I mean, he's not going to win. And how he sways the vote could ruin our country. I don't know. Maybe I end up hating him. But he's actually talking about real things. You heard Trump earlier. Generalities. I think we need RFK Jr. I do. I mean, is there any way? Because, I mean, if the Democratic Party, I mean, he's not going to play games, though. They want somebody they can control. But strategically, right, if he stays in the race and he keeps gaining ground, apparently he's pretty consistent. He's not gaining a ton of ground, but the closer we get, and if he picks VP, if Trump picks Tim Scott and he picks Tulsi Gabbard, that might be a pretty good ticket. Now, he'll increase. He will increase He's only going to increase if he stays in. But what if the Democrats at the DNC and they realize that when the Democrats know they have to make a choice, they have to make a change. Now, can they just hand it to Michelle Obama? I mean, that's what I think is going to happen somehow, some way. But there's Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. It'll probably be her. Because there's Gavin Newsom, but he's a white man. You can't have two white men in a row run. That's bad for it's bad for the country. But what if the Democratic Party just slid RFK in there? I mean, he's at like 17% now, I think. So according to The Hill, now this came out in December, so we're 2 months old here. It says 20% are open to voting for him, and I thought I heard 17% earlier. That's what I was trying to find, but couldn't find it. But anyway, and that's only going to increase. What if the Democrats if we just give it to him, he's already got support, and if he's the nominee, then what would I do if what would I do if RFK Jr. was the Democratic nominee versus Donald Trump as a Republican? I couldn't do it, but what I just said was true. I like what RFK is saying more. Oh, and by the way, if you like my shirt, that's a sarcastic. Public schools teach kids to hate God, hate their parents, hate the country, and hate themselves too. So no, public schools are essentially training grounds for terrorists. Not, I mean, those kind of terrorists yet, but it could be coming. Anyway.
This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
This war stops now.
End the war. Bring freedom to our people.
No. No more tricks. No more lies. Only truth.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!